savor this moment, moment to moment. See if we can rest. Whatever arises, whatever present, right here, right now, taste it, drink it in. Have your heart touched by awe and wonder of what your life presents. Let your heart touched with a sense of mystery, appreciation for what your heart, your life presenting to you, greater meaning and richness. Appreciation and gratitude for what brought you here. It's said we spent millions of lifetimes, perhaps zillions and zillions of lifetimes, to hear even a word, Vajrayogini. Not only that, we are inspired by Vajrayogini, like giving goosebumps by hearing a word, Vajrayogini. Each of us has some resonance within us. And each of you are traced by the smell of fragrance or the sound of Vajrayogini. Back to brought you here. We are from all over, following the smell, fragrance of Vajrayogini. How fortunate. We may not be clear what Vajrayogini is, or who she is, or what she embodies. We don't know much about her, but we sense it. Something in her, something resonates, something communicates with my heart in a deeper level. So this sense of connection, feeling, or resonance is due to the zillions of lifetimes goodness we accumulated. So let's savor it. Today's session is a preliminary to highest yoga tantra empowerment in conjunction with Vajrayogini. So first, appreciate or almost awe and wonder after all these obstacles, hurdles we passed one by one in your own way. Then we hear so many things seem to be happening in the middle of that, like iron stones. We hear gathered together like this way for Vajrayogini empowerment, which itself is surreal. It's amazing. Something brought us here. Many of you have been with Daki's Whisper, all have a connection with us. I thought today's session, something might be meaningful. Talk a little bit about the significance of vows, since we just received the refuge vow. Of course, the next level is a Bodhisattva vow. We're going to renew during the Tantric empowerment, Bodhisattva, this fearless heart of Bodhisattva ideal. Peaceful warriors, each of us aspire to be. On the basis of Bodhisattva vow, we receive Tantric vows. So I just wanted to say a few words what the vows entail. And also I wanted to talk about empowerment. What the empowerment entails, what's the main point. And also I wanted to say a few words about the journey of Vajrayogini, how we can bring this to our daily life. It's all about integration. I often talk about this. We meet hardship with Dharma. I was talking a few people and I went through all these challenges and came here. That's the part of the package. We are here not to make our life comfortable. I just wanted to remind ourselves again and again, when we come to spirituality, if we bring this attitude of try to solve the difficult, whatever, try to make life comfortable, then we kind of disappointment. Dharma journey is a long-term journey, moment-to-moment unfoldment. We have to approach Dharma differently. We are trying to develop or cultivate a different ways to approach life itself, different ways to look at life. Yeah, fundamentally, different approach. So maybe very different from your neighbors or people around you. You might feel a bit isolated or something. That's why we have a Sangha here. I often talk about that practice and Sangha. We have both those here established, then we are on the path. I talked about meet the spiritual pain and develop resilience. So those are important things in the Dharma. So I wanted to remind ourselves, looking for the fundamentally different approach to life. We have enough calling, internal call to be here, right? Otherwise, we don't want to go through so the security, wearing masks. You don't have been here. And so I trust, really, I can see your sincerity, connection, deep longing, and deep yearning to connect with something deeper beyond this veneer of comfortability or whatever society present, based on whatever possession, fame, those things. So we know you are not looking for that, in the sense that we are going for the paradigm shift. Tonight we talked a little bit about this different approach, how we can hold both this absolute reality, wisdom of emptiness, and the natural expression of that is a compassion, this unbearable, overwhelming compassion, both together. So in that context, we are here for that. So in Tantra, we talk about the direct relationship to life, which is sacred, already sacred, and also fundamentally, we are not damaged. This Buddha nature idea that's always there. And so the path become unveiling or purification, kind of stripping away what's in the way of this shining jewel that is who we are. Then Vajrayogini helps us, you can say catalyst, to really reflect our true nature. Hidden deities, that's the terminology Tibetan use. Each of us are, you can say, secret Vajrayogini, who you are, but right now covered up and veiled. So we want to unveil that and want to really embody who we truly are in the fullest way. So in terms of vows, but vow is a method or skillful means to create the enormous karma. So we need a positive potential, karma, merit, sometimes translated. Vows allow us to create them. Why we need a positive potential? In a sense, karma is everything. What we are right now experiencing is the karmic result. Whatever happening in the world, or internal, external, here, there, whatever, that is a karmic result. On the spiritual path, in order to unveil, we need a positive potential. That's like an engine, you can say. When you drive, you need an engine, just a car. External shape of the car doesn't move forward, right? We need an engine or gasoline, fundamental driving forces. You can say direct material cause for awakening is karma. Of course, I can talk more about the relationship, karma and emptiness, it's compatibility of that. So therefore, we need to receive vows. The Matson Kappa said, only reason to receive tantric empowerment is to receive vows. Sometimes people are kind of not so clear why I receive tantric empowerment, because something cool, looks cool and advanced practice, but it's about the vows. That's important to keep in mind. The vows are given to collect a special kind of karma. Since everything comes from karma, whatever we experiencing, even our human body we receive, that's due to the tremendous positive potential karma, good karma, result of that. So since everything comes from karma, seek the tantric vows so that we can move from A to Z. We can move this driving force. If we don't have a vow, it's so slow. So especially sutra path, of course, bodhisattva vow, which is a very important basis of tantric vow. But then it's go quite slow. Of course, in terms of mentally, we need that much patience. But as a tantric bodhisattvas, we cannot bear witnessing the suffering of beings any moment. Like a mother cannot bear looking at the suffering of her own child or parents, whoever. So tantric vow really escalate the process, bring us from A to Z, unveil all these obscurations very quickly. That's one of the reasons we take tantric vows. So tantric vows and commitment are what makes tantra work. Right, material causes, I said. So this is very important. So all the karma is supporting viewing the purity. For example, in tantric teaching, we talk about viewing the sacred outlook. Everything is sacred or the pure view. And also view oneself as an awakened being called the divine pride or sacred dignity. In order to do that, we need karma. All the karma is supporting that. So it's not about the theory, right? Of course, in Tantra, we've been learning in Dakinis Whisper, those tantric way of looking at things. But to see if we can sit here and think about, try to convince ourselves, this look, okay, this everything is an expression of Vajrayogini. It doesn't look like or me, Vajrayogini, okay, visualize this. That's the so-called generation stage. This artificial assimilation process, step by step in Tantra. In the generation stage, we pretend, so to speak. But if we have a karma, we purified enough karma, then the support to really start looking at that experientially. You don't need to convince yourself. Life really appeared that way. That's how Tantra works in conjunction with all the karma, so supporting or viewing the purity in empowerment. So this happens in empowerment. Because of this extreme condition of what you bring to the empowerment. This whatever went through all these hardship or challenges, those are the part of the package I said, that journey, purification. We need to purify. So in a sense, congratulations. Actually, that's part of it. At that moment of empowerment, so important. That's why I like to do in English. You understand the whole process. When I ask to visualize this way and do this way, I try your best to do it. We don't have an expectation, but those great masters, that's how they got into glimpse into reality. That's the first kind of point. That's the empowerment. So Lama hold the piles of vows and commitment to create a condition for whoever receiving the empowerment to purify or unveil and progress from A to Z. And also our mind needs to be directed one-pointedly. So basically during the empowerment, do our best to focus and distract. Actually, meditation is the main practice during the empowerment. We do all this process using all these specific ritual materials, but the meditation is the main thing. When we talk about the vow is only forms in your heart. That means the internal agreement. Vow doesn't have a self-existing, inherent existing entity. Sometimes we hear, I return vow. I received the vow from teacher. So now I have a partner or whatever. So I'm gonna disrobe and I return. So it's not like a ping pong, but kind of, wait a minute, I want to receive again. That's not the vow, not about the vow. we are talking about here. This is the internal agreement. So may not receive vows during even the powerful empowerment is happening. If each of us do not have an internal agreement and this integrity which is attached to it. So I also emphasize this three sphere of vows, or receiving vow, giving vow, and the receiver and the giver and the vow itself. That's also important. Karma and emptiness compatible. Karma is empty. Therefore, karma works. Karmic cause and effect works. Sounds like a koan. Yeah, keep that one as your koan and think about it. We become more careful. If things does not exist from its own side, if it's empty of inherent existence, then karmic cause and effect is definite. That's actually consequence prasangika view, and one of the most profound view. Just use that as a kind of koan, and also apply to your life, how that works. The importance of pay attention to cause and effect. Our whisper tradition, Lama Tsongkhapa really emphasized that, because back all days, his time, maybe nowadays too in the West, those tantric practitioners, they thought everything empty and then I can't do anything. Actually, opposite. If everything is empty, then should pay more attention, careful. Lama Tsongkhapa's role was to really reform and clarify the Nagarjuna middle way views presentation, to correct that degenerated attitude, kind of ethical conduct, importance of ethical conduct. So that the three spheres. In terms of integrity, you stick to, this is internal power. It's called Tantric, Tibetan word. Samaya, through receiving commitment or vows, we uphold Tantric, Samaya. These are kind of agreement between teacher and the Idam deities, Vajrayogini in this case, and make commitment to actually Idam inseparable from teacher. So this is a very powerful way to create the karma, positive potential. In a sense, Tantra, Samaya is everything. But again, Samaya is empty. So we don't beat ourselves up. Although Tantric is very strong word, like you go into hell, like that. Let's say if you have a strong bodhicitta, then willingness to live on in the hell realm. But if you have a bodhicitta strong enough, then straight coming up, that's what they say, straight coming up to the human and the higher realm to continue the process. Do you have that willingness to be reborn in the hell realm? That much strong bodhicitta do you have? But in fact, tantric bodhisattva have to have that much strong bodhicitta. And also, I often talk about that willingness to stay zillions and zillions years in the suffering world to save every being. That much willingness we need in terms of Tantra. Also, it's important to know what's blocking, like no moving through personal obstacles and habitual tendency and blockage to keep vows. Those things are important. Yeah, based on the Bodhisattva vows, pure view I was talking about is very important. Then Vajrayana or Tantric required empowerment. That's the first initial step to enter Tantra officially, right in the beginning. We don't want to wait, but we've been waited for quite a number of years. In a sense, in Tibetan tradition, they wait long time. Then we kind of prepare the ground. So more we prepare the ground, as soon as we plant the seed, then seed grows so fast. If ground is not, the rocks and the weeds and everything, and even have put the seed planted, it's slow, or even seeds may not bear fruits. Having said that, we have to have a balance in the West. Life is moving so fast and the opportunity is so rare, especially nowadays, this pandemic, and the Tibetan Lama do not travel. My teacher generation is all gone. All my teachers, except a few here living in the West, are gone. Now our town in the West kind of feel the responsibility. I want you to feel, each of you here kind of feel the honor as well as responsibility to take on this journey to the best of your ability, because fundamentally you are not damaged. Just need to dust off a little bit with the help of Vajra Yogini, joyfully. At the same time, appreciate the hardship, resilience, thinking about all the great master went through. This is nothing, in a sense that, we complain about the little thing, but it's good to always perhaps sometimes read about those great masters' life stories. That's one of my favorite things to do, inspiring. I encourage you to do that.